Good evening and welcome to the November 9th regular council meeting. I will call the meeting to order. And before we continue, this being a few days before Remembrance Day, and we won't be having this our last meeting before Remembrance Day, I'm going to ask to observe a moment of silence in honor of our veterans, the men and women who fought in the war, or the ones that are still serving, everybody, I guess. So anyway, we'll observe a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Okay, next item is the approval of the agenda. You all have seen the agenda. Are there any additions? Seeing no one coming up, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Deputy Warden Albright and seconded by Councillor Sonia. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. Conflict of interest. Anybody have a conflict of interest declaration? If you don't do it now, if you have one, you can always observe it at the time when if the item comes up. And I see none at this point. Next thing we have our MP Chris D'Entremont with us, and he's going to talk to us about a few things and listen to some of the concerns or whatever that we have. So Chris, you're on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warden. Folks, councillors, good to see you all again. Even though it's virtually again, it would have been nice to see you all live, but we know with the local outbreaks that it's probably prudent to sort of do things here virtually. Listen, this is something we've been trying to do over the years of having a semi-regular meeting with council, and every council that wants to meet with us, of course, to understand their priorities, the issues that are, of course, important to each region within the West Nova riding. Some of them, of course, are all based on infrastructure for the most part, but we also have a couple of issues that, of course, flow around as well. We have a meeting on Friday with the wardens and the mayors to talk about the fishing issue. So there's a number of things that, of course, that are important to all of us, and it's always good to hear your input to see what I should be keeping my eyes on. You know, what file, what issue should we have? I know Councillor Albright will be talking about the Mariner Center. We are working our best to try to meet up with Minister LeBlanc, Minister Dominic, as he learns his new portfolio of infrastructure. But knowing that sometimes takes a while, we really haven't had the opportunity to meet with him yet before the House truly gets going. I'm hoping once that happens, we'll have a good opportunity to meet with him to talk about that project. The other project, of course, is the fishery issue. We're waiting on the new minister to start having meetings. I know she's reached out to a few of the provincial members, the provincial ministers, to talk about a number of things. One of them being marine protected areas, which I found an interesting reset for the area. I'm hoping that they talk about other pieces of infrastructure like wharves and those kinds of things that I know that Councillor Burke would like to talk about as well. But I just thought I'd leave it open to you, make you aware that, of course, seniors grants, those grants have not, the new applications have not come out yet. So hopefully by December, we'll have those new grants or grant applications available to different community halls and different associations that need that kind of funding. So I'll make sure you guys are aware of that. We had a successful run last year in the seniors grants, and it takes an application to make sure that they happen. So anyway, Mr. Warden, that's about the biggest presentation I've ever made. So just more, but it's more to listen to you guys to find out what's important in your districts that I should keep my hand on.
Okay, anybody wants to go ahead? Okay, I see Councillor Bork and I saw Councillor Surratt. So Councillor Bork.
Thank you, Warden. Yeah, my issue is wharves. They're very crowded, and I believe that it's starting to get dangerous because, so I'm hoping that the federal government will be looking seriously, improving our wharves, making them larger. The boats are getting bigger, of course. So that's my biggest issue for the federal government in my area. I'm sure there's other things, but I think that's the key thing right now. It's our bread maker. So, and they bring a lot of money to our province and to our country. So I think that's something that has to be worked on, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think one of the meetings we had with Small Craft Harbors not so long ago, there's probably a infrastructure deficit of somewhere close to $300 to $400 million in the western zone. So I would say that's probably Lunenburg all the way around to Halls Harbor. But a big chunk of those wharves, of course, are in Shelburne County, Yarmouth County, and Digby County. So definitely a challenge on them. We want to make sure that they understand the importance of these wharves. They are our business parks for the most part, and we want to make sure that they continue to support them. I know during the election we said we would try to double that. We're hoping that they come back with some kind of offer to say, we understand the challenge that you have, and it's not just, as much as I would like to have a bigger wharf to make sure that it fits the vessels that we have today. The biggest challenge we have a number of wharves right around the riding that are unsafe, that are in some cases almost what's the word I'm looking for? They're actually shut down. They're just the fishermen are still using them because they have another option. But quite honestly, there's a barrier on the end that they can't put an oil truck on, they can't put a truck on to load their gear, they can't do those kinds of things. So not only do we have this getting larger all the time kind of issue, whether you're looking at East Pubnico or West Pubnico or Wedgeport or Argyle Camp Cove. I mean, there's so much we could be doing if we just had the money to be able to do it. So thank you for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Surratt. Can you unmute, please?
Thank you, Danny. Chris, Kogamodian, have you had any contacts with anybody on that? And I mean, I know it's only in 2024. There could be an election before then, but what's your take on that?
Well, I know the committee is doing its work to make sure that the pertinent ministers know it's coming, and I think there's actually some funding through a COA and a couple of other organizations to make sure it's up and ready. That funding has not flowed yet, but I know the committee is actually doing its work. We have an interesting opportunity here too, is that our infrastructure minister is an Acadian, our official languages minister is an Acadian, federally, provincially, of course, we've got Colton. We've got some great opportunity to showcase Argyle and Clare in this particular case to make sure that we do the best job we possibly can. And, ultimately, I'll be bringing it up every opportunity I have to at every committee I'm on.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, Deputy Warden, and then Ted.
Thank you, Warden. I just wanted council to know that Chris and I have been, MP D'Entremont and I have been in contact regularly about the Mariner Center, and he's been very vocal for us as for our region in trying to push to get support for this project. Just so that he's aware, I have also sent out invitations to Minister Dominic LeBlanc and Minister Sean Fraser requesting meetings. But again, as you know, things are just getting started. So it'll probably be a while before we hear anything from them. But I appreciate the support that you've given us, and please keep pushing, keep putting that out there and make sure they know all about it for us. That would be fantastic. We expect to know something actually fairly before the end of the year anyway, is what we were told. So there's that. And the other thing, at the NSFM conference just last week, they mentioned a couple of times that they're pushing for a permanent doubling of our gas tax, or what is now called the Canada Community Building Fund. Do you know anything about that? Do you have any? No. Okay. I'm just, because we've had a doubling of our gas tax twice, and it's been, you know, extremely helpful. And they mentioned a few times that they're looking to have that a permanent thing. So I just was kind of curious if you knew anything about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't had the discussion with government on this one. I have heard from some of our towns that find it's being dispensed inadequately. So maybe that's an issue for NSFM, but at the same time, yeah, no, it's been an effective way to make sure that infrastructure stuff is done in some of those ridings.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Councillor Sonia.
Thank you, Warden, and thank you, MP Dr. Mo. Nicole answered my first question on gas tax, so thank you for that.
Yep.
My second question is to do with fisheries, of course, and there's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and I used to live by that. However, I've seen things that weren't broke get broken, like the cod fishery in Newfoundland, the herring industry has been almost decimated because it was fishing, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our lobster industry, is there any assurance? Because it ain't broke, it's definitely lucrative right now. Is there any assurance that it'll be sustained and not broken by, outside involvement and such?
Yeah, no, I mean, part of our discussion has always been about conservation to make sure that stock is available. The extra challenges that there are in St. Mary's Bay of being a seeding area for lobster, so they get seeded and then those flow down to the west, and of course down in Lobster Bay in those areas. The challenge I think we have right now is commercial fishers sort of kept to their side of the bargain, which is to stay off the bay during the summer. And in return for that, they wanted to see good enforcement, good conservation going on in St. Mary's Bay during the summer season. I'm uncertain whether that happened or not. I know we heard of a number of charges that had been laid, a couple of tractor trailer loads of lobster being shipped to canneries to be sold, but how much was actually taken out of that bay? So I don't know whether the department has been tracking this to understand the size of, first of all, the FSC fishery, which is, of course, a right held by Indigenous people. But there's been a tremendous use of that FSC, but also the moderate livelihood fishery that's been going on by Seven Agady. So I don't know if they have a handle on it. I have not seen messaging from them that says they have a handle on it. I do worry about the conservation side of things that we'll only be able to tell in the next few weeks when the folks get to fishing in the bay to find out if they're up or down or how far down they're going to be in that area. Then we'll have an anecdotal idea of how much it is. I had a meeting yesterday with a number of fishermen in Metagan, and they felt the fishery is completely off the hook. They've been taking lobsters out of there straight time for the last 2 months, or 3 months, or 4 months. So they're very, very concerned about the state of lobster fishery, especially in St. Mary's Bay. And I don't know where the new minister is going to go. I'm not quite sure yet.
Is that it, Councillor Sonia?
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Donaldson.
I won't repeat what other people have said, but definitely what Kathy said is a big problem with the wars. But I just would like to mention the 100 series highway, especially the 103 through our area. To do these projects, the federal funding is needed, and the two concerns, you know, the first one is the Nikhil, what we call the Nikhil intersection. And the other one that is increasingly becoming a problem is the end of the 103. There can be a kilometer or longer lineup early in the morning, people going to work in the morning, and it's forever getting off the 103. So there's got to be something done there. I don't know if it's an intersection, if it's simply is putting lights in or what, but the more people know about it, the better it is. So I'm just letting you know about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got two priorities for our highways. I mean, of course, one of them will always be Nikhil until that possibly gets done. I know Minister LeBlanc, Colton's been working hard on that one as well. So I'm going after him and Minister Maslin on that one, because they need to get it on their list to be able to ask the feds for their 50%. So I don't see that quite happening yet. So I'm trying to get that connection to happen. The second one that I've been working on, but not necessarily important for Argyle, which is the bypass from Weymouth to Marshalltown, to try to complete the highway through there. Seems to be on that list. And I go to work at about 9:30 in the morning, or 8:30 in the morning to 9 o'clock, when that kilometer is lined up at the end of the highway. That's a new phenomenon there. I know it lines up, but this is the longest I've seen it lined up in the morning there. So I don't know. I'll ask that question as well. Appreciate it.
Okay. What about the housing crisis? We need more senior, I guess, low rentals or low cost housing for some of the seniors. I mean, a lot of them can't afford their to stay in their own house. Single senior widows or whatever, and they need some help. They need somewhere else that they can go and afford.
Yeah, no, I know there's been some work from CMHC in making sure that affordable housing is available to everyone. It was a big discussion during the provincial election. I heard a little bit during the federal election as well. The problem we have is that I don't think government should be building apartments. That should be private sector, and we should be aiding the private sector to do that. Does that mean there's going to be an incentive? Does that mean, some kind of grant that you can give? And that means the municipalities have to be ready in making sure they have the zoning available for that. Argyle has always been sort of on the losing end of that, where throughout the years, affordable housing went away to town. It went away to Yarmouth because it was just easier to build in there. And maybe in some cases, some of the developers were based there. So we need to find a good incentive program that makes sense. The challenge we have right now is that now that the provincial government's capped rent increases, some of them are probably gone home and kind of being grumpy, and we need those same people to go and help us build facilities. So there's a tremendous challenge there. So I think on our side, we'll continue to push on CMHC to be ready and available to be sort of the lender, like we did with long-term care facilities, like we did with other things. They are, the government's lender when it comes to housing. We just need to make it easier for them to do that, and make it easier for developers to actually build the units that we have. And we have a couple of cool opportunities right now. I mean, I was over in Clare last night talking to the folks at JD Composites. I mean, they're building little homes now out of pop bottles and fiberglass, whatever the system actually is, and they can put together some houses pretty easy and pretty cheap. So there's some ingenuity going on that we might be able to use.
Okay. Anybody else? I don't see anybody.
See, Glenn wants to be wants to be out hunting there right now, because I don't think he got his buck yet there.
So,
okay.
Unless you have anything else.
No, I appreciate that, and unless Glenn's got his hand up there.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. Just to get back to our MP, yes, I did shoot my buck, sir. I did get a 6-point buck. Thank you. and not all that far from your place. And no, I just agree with everything that's been said by everyone. And congratulations on getting in again and representing us down here to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
And looking forward to working with you on more projects.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate that a whole bunch. You guys are the easiest bunch to deal with because I know you all personally. So you know full well that if you need to talk to me, you just give me a call. And if you can't get a hold of me, you call Ann and you can get a hold of it that way. Or you call Alan and Alan gets a hold of me. Which leaves me with my final comment tonight. Just on behalf of our family, I just want to thank everybody for reaching out and thinking of our family as we've been going through a little rough spot. But things are going well. Fingers are crossed, and somebody's happy at home. So let's hope he stays happy and not under pressure, right?
Okay, well, thank you very much for being here with us and answering a few questions, or at least listening to our concerns, and hopefully these will go back to the proper channels and whatever, and we'll wait and see.
We'll keep working on these things for you. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks again. Okay, the next item is adoption of minutes. We have the regular council meeting minutes of October the 12th. Need a motion. Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Deputy Warden Albright. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. Special council meeting minutes of October 29th. Councillor Bork, and moved by Councillor Bork, seconded by Councillor Digdon. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. Business arising, there's a couple of letters here, and the first one, it's an expression of interest in accessibility housing discussion group. I brought this up a while back, and this is a group that was that was formed. We had a group that would meet regarding housing, and it was from Shelburne. We were represented by a group in Shelburne, Digby, and Yarmouth, and we were having a bit of a problem with having anybody chair these meetings and whatever. So I think what this came out of that, and this the letter asked if we were interested, and that came from Mayor Ben Cleveland of Digby. So we answered, and at that time we said we were interested. So I wrote a letter back. The letter was written and sent, and to tell them that we were interested. Now, if you remember the last time I brought this up, I had said that I've been a member of that housing for a number of years. The choice housing, that I started on that when I first got elected back in 2012. And I'm wondering if anybody else could represent us at this level here. I think it's only going to be quarterly that they're going to meet unless something comes up. And our meetings are probably going to be virtual, I would think, unless something changes, because it's Digby and you know the distance between the two municipalities. I think probably they will continue to meet virtually. So I'm just wondering if someone would be willing to I guess I'm going to say replace me, but I'm not really part of that group. That's a new group. But I think it was kind of expected that whoever was on the old group would probably move in here. But if someone wanted to take that, I certainly would appreciate it for sure. And it has to do with affordable housing, something that we still have to discuss and something that we still have to fight for. And if we let it go, then we're not going to get anything. So. Yes, Deputy Warden.
Typically, what time are the meetings, Warden?
What time? Well, you see, that's the thing. It's
Oh, 'cause
usually
it's
during
new,
the day.
right.
It's usually, In the group that I was in, we'd meet at 9:30 in the morning, right? So,
Yeah. Kind of eliminates me.
no, now for people working, it's hard.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt, yeah. Well, I can continue. I've done this and it's, it doesn't replace, we're still meeting. There's still a group, the choice group still meets. We just don't meet as often. So I guess this will be an extra meeting for me. That's the only thing, but I'll continue to, I'll just move on to this committee here and see what happens. Okay. The next one is where am I here? Oh, it's the letter that we sent regarding the Coastal Protection Act. And it's just a response that they've received our letter and they consider our concerns and questions carefully. If we continue to work on this important initiative, whatever is going to come out of it, this hasn't passed yet for sure. So, but it's just basically saying that they have received our concerns and they're considering certainly taking our concerns in consideration for sure. Next one is councillor reports. Anybody have reports they want to? Okay, Deputy Warden. And then I saw Councillor Digdon after.
Okay, it's a bit lengthy, but I'll try to go through it as fast as I can. Okay, so we had a doctor recruitment meeting, and I'm sure that you've seen on Facebook, they've been promoting the house that was built through the credit union for the residents. And so that's started, and it's been a great partnership. And actually it's pretty amazing because that's one of we know housing is an issue, but it's a recruitment tool because we were struggling to get doctors coming in and finding places for them to stay. So that's on the go, which is good. Committee of the whole, we also had through recreation, we did Halloween on the trail this year, which was different. So we had a section of the trail in Belleville, and we had 10 volunteers dress up, and we gave out candy, and kids came. There were 35 kids who came with their families, and they had to pre-register. First time we had done it, and actually it was really successful, and the kids seemed to really like it. The parents were really appreciative of it as well. We had a Mariner Center Steering Committee meeting. So the fundraising RFP has gone out. So we're just awaiting, they're putting a little group together to review those. So part of the funding that we're looking to raise for the Mariner Center is through fundraising. So it's not just our municipal contributions. So they're looking to hire somebody to help with that, because it won't just be, just little bits of, it's major money that we're looking to raise in millions of dollars. So that's on the go right now. We're awaiting a decision on that. We haven't heard any more. So we're kind of still at a standstill, but political conversations continue to happen. NSFM conference happened last week over a couple of days, and I saw that the warden, I agree with what the warden wrote. Some of the presenters were really strong and interesting, and then some were, and maybe it was just the timing, the end of the day where you've been listening and on a screen all day, but there were some really interesting topics. The housing came up often. The lack of housing came up. We had all the leaders of each political party that presented, and that question was posed to them, and it was something that people talked about. And they talked about the ERP again. They brought that up as well, and to see if government was going to do anything to help with that. Some of these sessions were prioritizing your well-being and mental health, success stories. Barrington talked about how they've kind of reworked their fire services. So they gave a little presentation on that. And actually the other municipalities had a lot of questions for them. Talked about FOIPOP. That one was, I found a lot of information. It was a lawyer giving that conversation. So there was a lot of that legal speak, and I found that one a little bit hard to follow. One of the things which we knew already, but I thought it was, and I had texted actually the CAO and said, about the climate. We were one of the winners of the climate where is it? What is it called? We won an award. I can't find the name of the award right now, but for our municipal building.
I'm trying to think of the award name too, but they award that every year.
Yes, so we were one of 3 recipients. We were one of 3 municipalities to win that, and I thought it was actually pretty impressive. Climate Change Leader Awards. So the Climate Change Leader Award, we are one of 3 municipalities, and the other 2 were part of the big ones. So it was nice that, you know, we're a small rural municipality and we were one of the winners this year, and it was because of our net zero building. I mentioned earlier, they're talking about trying to get the gas tax doubled. They would like to see a permanent doubling of that. We've had it doubled twice, and they're working to see if they can push for that. Had some meetings with staff, with the warden as well, to make sure, you know, we're touching base regularly with staff, just so you know, to make sure that things are going okay in the absence of the CAO, and people are working together really well, and so far so good, and we continue to touch base to make sure that things are working well. The splash park, I had a phone conversation with Linda Gallagher, who is basically, you know, running, she's the chair of that committee, and she wanted to say thank you again for our contribution, and they've raised over half of the money already. They raised like $100,000 in 4 months for the splash park. So they're getting closer. They're waiting for some grants, and once, if all of those things fall into play, they're going to be ready to go. So they're hoping for the spring, and it's looking really good actually. GSAR reached out to me. So Sheldon Fitzgerald from Ground Search and Rescue reached out and wanted me to tell you and let you know that their roof is done, and they're really happy with it, and they wanted to thank council for the contribution. And, you know, they realized that it made a huge difference in helping that project get done. So now they're prioritizing what's next, and they're thankful that we've contributed and that we put them as a line item. So they wanted me to say thank you for that. And I think that is everything. Thank you. Sorry it was so long.
No, that's good. Good report. Thanks. Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. Just have a couple of honorable mentions here this evening that I'd like to mention, that I'd like to talk about. And I'm going to be reading this off because I wrote it out here earlier. There's a new cenotaph erected in West Pubnico by the West Pubnico Legion Branch 66. The committee consisted of Paul C. D'Entremont, Jean-Bernard D'Entremont, Simone Deon, and Réal Boudreau for any legal work. They did all of the big work, all of the legwork, sorry, and brought it back to the Legion members for final approval. I would publicly like to thank them for their work towards this project. We also have a couple down here in the Pubnico area that they paint rocks, and they paint a poppy on these rocks with thank you on it, and they go out in the Yarmouth County area and they place these rocks on graves of veterans and on headstones of veterans. They've been doing it now for the last couple of years, and they want to remain anonymous. It's just something that they like to do on their own, and I think it's a great thing. So I'd like to thank them here this evening for their work. And also we have something going on here this year that I believe it was Councillor Surrett that I've got the idea from, is putting flags on graves and that this year. And I mentioned it, I'm a Legion member down here, and I mentioned it at one of the meetings, and it took off anyway. And there's been flags put on a lot of the graves, both east side, west side, and Argyle area this year. And so that's a great thing to see these flags put on these graves. And another little bit, I had the pleasure to watch a water safety drills today at the Dennis Point Wharf. And it was nice to see a piece of equipment used, which was designed by a local fisherman, Georges D'Entremont, known locally as Georges Anormi. So not only are these fishers always thinking about fishing, but safety is always in their forefront. So it was nice to see this piece of equipment used, and this piece of equipment now is being used on a lot of boats right across Canada. And like I say, it was designed by a fisherman down here in the lower West Pubnico area. So thank you. That's about all I have to report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dickton. Was that, okay, Councillor Sonia. And then Councillor Shrek.
Thank you, Warden. I attended the NSFM virtual conference as well, so Nicole told everybody about that. I also attended the flag placing of flags, sorry, at 3 different grave sites, one in Wedgeport, in Comoes Hill, and Plymouth. And then today they had a small, actually, the whole school is involved in a celebration for the veterans, and Argyle donated a wreath. One of the kids in the school placed it in front of the veterans. It was really nice. And lastly, I hooked up with Jeanette and Alice Claremont and Mrs. Jenkins at the Comoes Hill Trail. And we found a site so we can put some artwork. So it's going to be nice, a good improvement for the trail. Thank you.
Good. Councillor Shrek.
Yes, a few things I've done also, just some have mentioned. We put the flags on the graves in Surratt's Island behind the church, and also laid a wreath for the veterans at the Mass on behalf of the municipality on Saturday night. We had the Yarmouth and Area Industrial Commission meeting, had the also participated in the airport meeting where Greg Shea has taken over as the interim manager for the next couple of months until we see you from the Greg Shea is from the municipality of Yarmouth, and he's also the manager of the Industrial Commission, but he's taking that on while Alain's away. You know, we'll see what happens after that, but he certainly volunteered to do that. Much appreciated. Also, along with Ted, we had a waste check meeting. That was okay. That was great. Always nice to have those, and also spend some time with the Sluice Point Betterment Committee, trying to get some money and a place to put those black signs where welcome to your community. So that's moving along pretty good. And Mariner Center, like Nicole said, was on that committee, and so. But that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bork.
Thank you, Warden. I attended my regular meetings, Nikhil and Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission, as well as I attended with the Recreation Department for the Halloween on the trail. That was really fun, like Nicole said. And for the second year in a row, we went and laid flags on the cemetery behind the Immaculate Conception Church. And I'd like to thank Cassie Amiro for doing the research for finding all the veterans. And each year she's keep on finding more. So there's more flags being, so we laid 42 flags this year. So, and I will be attending on the ceremony on the 11th of September at St. Peter's Church. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. My report, the Warden's report, is attached. Again, I'll be attending on the 11th. There's a ceremony at the Tusket Cenotaph every year on the 11th. And then from there, I'll be heading to Wedgeport. And Wedgeport, there's a mass at 10. And then there's some ceremonies at the Legion at 11 o'clock. So I'll be attending that. And I think, I don't know if I put that on there on my report, but I was at the Halloween walk for the kids. And I've had a lot of parents say how much they enjoy that. Like in other years, what they had done is they had pumpkin carving contest, or not contest, but sessions and whatever. And I think this was an easier thing to organize for the Recreation Committee. And I think probably the children enjoyed it more as well. Well, they got treats, they were dressed up. It was really, really good. It was well put together, and they had the trail decorated and all kinds of different ghosts and whatever else. So anyway, so my report is attached. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on them. Again, I attended the conference as well, and so that's my report. Now, number 9 for decision. 9A is a private road naming policy. We've all had the 7-day notice on that. So right now what we have is we need a motion to approve this policy. But if there's any questions or whatever, before we do that, by all means, raise your hand, and I'm sure Ailey will be able to answer any questions that you might have on it. Anybody have any questions? Councillor Sonia.
Excuse me, thank you, Warden. In naming a private road, if it has multiple houses, is it the responsibility of the municipality or the homeowners?
So for a private road, there is a form that the residents that would live on the private road, can fill out. That's part of this policy. And then it comes into our GIS technician. So he's our coordinator for this this policy. And then he would look at that and then determine, the history, if there's ever been a name and that type of thing. And then based off of the form being filled out and everything being according to our policy, then the municipality would pay for the sign.
Yeah, I guess I already had brought this up. It was for the Golden Glow Lane in Como's Hill or Little River, where there's, I think, 4 or 5 residents. They had erected a sign themselves in the past, and it had been either stolen or torn down, I think, a couple times. And the answer I got then was that it was a responsibility of the homeowners on that particular road or lane. And there is, I think, at least 5 houses, if not 6. So am I correct to assume that it is not the responsibility of the homeowner? It's our responsibility?
So based on this policy, it will be based on the budget that's available and then the staff allocation. So the only thing I can say with certainty is that those residents on the road would fill out this application, and it would be internal staff that would determine based on this policy. So I guess I'm not explaining it very well, but there's some stipulations within this policy. So assuming that road falls within these parameters of the policy, then the municipality would provide them with a sign. So I don't know where the information came from, if maybe there's more than what we know at the moment for why they haven't received a sign. But according to this policy, they would, assuming that we have the budget and the staff available to provide the sign.
Do they have an obligation to name this road themselves? And the reason I asked that question is obviously for emergency purposes. If there's no name at the end of this particular road, and there's 4 or 5 or 6 houses on there, and they're not obliged, then they're kind of blind to the emergency vehicles coming in because they can't find the road. So again, my question, I'm just not clear on this. Would that be our responsibility or theirs? And that's what I'm trying to figure out here.
It's theirs.
If it's theirs, they most likely will not purchase this because it's been torn down in the past.
Okay, it is their responsibility because they live on a private road.
Yes.
Okay.
It's their responsibility, if I may. I would say it's their responsibility to find a name. And I know there's a lot of private roads that are out there that don't have a sign from the municipality. And I don't know if this is something that's new with the municipality or not. There's one here in Abrams River. They have their own sign because there's 4 or 5. I think there's four houses on that road, and they just have a sign that they put up themselves with their civic numbers on there. Now, those roads, I'm not sure, they must be recorded in the GIS, like the information system, in order for, if they call, they have to be able to find that. So that's where it's important to make sure that that road is listed. And so that if there's an emergency, that they'll know where to send the emergency vehicles for sure if they call 911. So, but I know there's roads. There used to be one in the end of Mears Hill. What's it called? What's it called? I can't remember. But they always had their own sign for some reason. For years, they had their own sign. Do you know where I mean, Councillor Surratt? It's where I think Richard and them live. Just before you get to Sous Point, just before you get to the Chemin des Bouleaux.
Yeah, the Beating Road.
Beating Road.
Gordon
Yeah.
Surratt lives, Beating Road. They put their own sign up, yes.
Yeah, exactly. They used to have their own sign. So I'm not sure if they apply, if they can get one from us or not. That's something that they would have to look at the policies to see for sure. Any other questions? Councillor Donaldson. Unmute, please.
Is
Thank
that
you.
better? Yes,
That's much better.
more comments and questions. Went through the report, and for the people of the municipality of Argyle, I'm glad to see that on the Glenwood Park Improvement Project, a lot of the red tape has been taken care of. So these projects of the boat launch and the swimming area should be able to move forward, and I assume that includes the.
Excuse me, are you ahead? Are you? Oh, we didn't go to the staff report. That's why. You're talking on the staff report. I moved to for decision. My apologies. I missed the staff report. So go ahead, and then we'll move back to the decisions after.
Okay, no, that's good, Danny. I just wanted to mention the Glenwood Park is. I'm glad to see that that's moving ahead very well. Like I said, the red tape, and another one is I'm so pleased to see the trucks in the neighborhood trimming brush and swapping poles out, getting ready for the fiber op to go through this area. I see they've done everything pretty well from Tusky right down to, I believe they're in Argyle Head now. So people are getting a little like anxious and excited at the same time, I guess, like to finally see some progress and see it in the near future, I guess. So
Okay.
That's all I got to say on the staff report.
Okay, and I'm glad you brought it up because I had missed the staff report. I had skipped it. So we'll continue with the staff report before we go for number 9. And are there any questions on the staff report or comments?
If I can just mention just a couple quick things.
Sure.
I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the meeting, so I had just stayed quiet. But the staff report, so in there we have an update on the Wedgeport project for the sewer system. So myself, Kyle Boudreau, and Kim had a call with EXP Engineering, who's the engineering company that's going to be leading the work. So as you see in the staff report, there's a rough timeline there. But over the next 2 weeks, they're going to be going to properties for the 48 applicants and doing some assessment work with our with Kyle Boudreau and his team internally. So what we also have done is Kim has placed, she's drafted a letter based on that meeting that we had on Friday, and those letters got sent out to the 48 applicants in Wedgeport, updating them of when the work will start and when it's when we're anticipating it to be done. So it should be done by September, October of this year, which is really exciting. The other thing that I'll quickly mention, Natalie D'Entremont, our recreation director, she's coming back and she starts November 30th. So you'll see her name and face again, I'm sure, which everyone's really excited about. And our bylaw enforcement officer. So we are working with the Department of Justice trying to expedite his delegation to be able to do bylaw enforcement. So right now we don't have internal capacity at the moment, but we're trying to push that through with the Department of Justice in Halifax so that we can get that in their hands and Mitch can hit the ground running. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, and I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
You should have stopped me.
That's okay.
So any questions on the report? Councillor Sonia.
Thank you again, Warden. On the nuisance and noise policy, wasn't there a new policy where council can now deal with loud mufflers?
I don't
remember
believe
that.
so.
I don't believe so.
No.
I had read that someplace. Okay, I could be wrong then. My apologies. Thank you.
It's okay.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you for the report. I don't believe we don't vote on this report. We just accept
No.
it. No.
Yeah.
Now we're back to what I had started. So the first one is the road naming policy, which we're looking for a motion to approve it. Are there any other questions or comments on that policy? If there aren't
if I
any,
may.
go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yep, just to mention it, we did have this policy. It's an existing policy, but we've amended it based on some of the requirements that our GIS technician has been dealing with. So I believe there's 99 private roads in the municipality, or 111, but 99 of which I believe would be eligible for a private sign, a private road sign based on this policy. But he had seen some gaps just in regards to maybe not being the most clear. So that's why we had done these amendments, and we also created an application form just to make it a bit more seamless. So just to give you guys a little bit of history.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we need a motion to approve this policy. Councillor Surratt, seconded by Deputy Warden. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. Next one is a letter of support request from the Western REN Energy Project. And what it is they've applied for funding, and it's residential retrofit funding application. What they require is a letter of support from all the units, the 7 participating units. And it's required, anybody who wants that, and these are residential, it's for people that you know, their own residences. It's required that the applicant pays 10% of the total project, and then the rent, the fund will pay the rest. And there is no cost to the municipality, except there's an in-kind contribution for, and what it is, it's for staff hours, so that if there's applications that are coming through our municipality, then our municipality would be responsible to cover any costs for data request, any kind of work that staff would have to do. So that's all. That's what would be the cost of the municipality, labor cost or in-kind costs for this. So are there any questions or comments? Again, it's a letter of support, if I can think of the word. So if there's no comments, I'll need someone to move that we send a letter of support. Moved by Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. If there's no more questions, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded? Carried. We have the Islands and District Volunteer Fire Department funding request. There's a couple of attachments, and I'm going to pass that on to Ailey.
All right, so thank you. So last meeting, we had the funding request that he had mentioned that it was taken off the agenda. So what we know, so I have the letter that you had submitted be on behalf of Islands and District. So it's an $80,000 ask for a fire truck that Barrington has that they're willing to sell. So I had done a little bit of research. We don't have anything in the budget this year, which we had kind of discussed behind the scenes, but I reach out to Halifax Fire often with these kinds of things just to see what the next steps are and what the parameters are. So when I had talked to the gentleman there who's in charge of procuring, buying fire trucks, that kind of thing, he said that our first step would be just to get an appraisal done of the fire truck, and that just assures, because he said if the engine in question, it's a 2001, and I forget the exact engine type, but he said if the appraiser were to go and said that everything is in great working condition, he said that would be great for you guys. Wonderful. He said that he would just recommend an appraisal first, just to ensure that the fire department doesn't get the truck and then only to find out that there's $20,000 worth of work in order to get it back up to acceptable condition based on the Nova Scotia Provincial Fire Association's requirements. So I have this to show everyone. This is the book that goes along just to kind of talk about inspections and mechanical and what to do. So what I would recommend is that the municipality move forward with assisting Islands and District through Barrington Fire Department to get an appraiser here. The cost is it's $1,500 to $2,000, and they come from Halifax. So there's only two companies. There's one in Halifax and one in New Brunswick. And then based on the outcome from that appraisal, we can make a decision. I think that's the best route for now. I don't know if you agree with that, Council. I guess I'll let you guys ask questions or talk.
Any questions, any comments? Councillor Stratt.
Yes, I guess that's kind of threw me for a loop there a little bit on that part, but whatever. I have Deputy Chief Gilles Bourque here with me, where I'm at the fire hall right now. That's why I still have my coat on. So if I could, if it was okay with the chair, could I maybe give my a little bit of a spiel on this, if it was okay with the chair?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start with this. What Islands and District, so you're all aware, Islands and District is looking to replace their to upgrade their equipment, of course. They're looking to get this. It's a 2003 Freightliner pumper tanker, Jill, pumper tanker, and what they're doing, they're getting rid of their 1987 GMC pumper tanker. It's pretty well getting out of commission. They're also taking out of the fleet a 1995 GMC Suburban, and they're giving that to Eelbrooks Volunteer Fire Department. That will be used by Eelbrook to tow the boat, the rescue boat that the municipality has bought, probably 7-8 years ago. So Eelbrook will be able to use that 95 GMC Suburban to tow the boat where it's needed, during the needs, if there was a need. So they're giving that away to help them out. Islands and District Volunteer Fire Department has been operating since 1981, providing excellent fire protection to its residents for many years. To continue protection to its residents, they need obviously updated equipment. In their capacity, you need quality, up-to-date, like I said, fire equipment that is ready to go at the moment's call. That is why the request is up in front of council. Arlington District Volunteer Fire Department has fundraised, put money aside. They have $40,000 to put down on this $80,000 unit. So they have put money aside. So there will not be a burden on the taxpayer, in our district. There'll be no area rate increase or nothing. If they could get half of what the truck is worth, if this, as Ailey was kind of speculating, I wouldn't say speculating, you were saying that they need an appraisal. So if that was the value of the truck was, I guess, deemed to be that value, what they're looking at is a $40,000 grant, and this could be done in different manners, as has been done to the other fire department that have come and requested. You could do it at 10,000.
You're cutting out. You're gone. We've lost you, Councillor Surratt.
I think he's playing the banjo.
No. I don't know if he can hear us or not.
Okay. Arlington District. So I'll say it again. What council could choose to do.
Okay. I heard, I think he was going with
Can you
maybe
hear me
10,000.
now?
No, can't hear you. I
Not
heard him
sure.
say, can you hear us?
I know.
We can't hear. We can't hear we can't hear you at all, Councillor Surratt. Well, I don't know if anybody else has any comments on that while we're waiting. If you can come back, go ahead. Deputy Warden Albright, go ahead.
Okay. Technology is a wonderful thing, because while we're online here, I received a text from the fire chief from Eelbrook Fire Department, who just wanted me to mention that was a truck that they had used. And if we want any more additional information as well, Ailey, so he said he's done, he can provide pump tests and maintenance records, and has some, there's some maintenance work. So just, he kind of wanted to put it out there as a resource. If you want to reach out to him as well, he can offer some
Sure.
information on that truck too.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's something that I wanted. It's something I wanted to. Oh, sorry. No, I
what a
can't hear you,
shame.
Guy.
I
Yeah.
know.
I don't know if I can give him a call. I don't know if he realizes that we're not hearing him.
He's got his muted now.
Okay. Yeah, he may be trying to reset it, I'd
I
imagine.
think he's gone.
Yeah, and when I had spoke to the deputy fire chief from Barrington, he did state that when Eelbrook had smashed their truck, that they had lent this truck to Eelbrook. And that's how Islands and District had found out about it. So they don't have it up for sale at the moment. It was just word of mouth from Eelbrook. So that may be an option as well that I wanted to talk about with council, is that if we get an appraisal and it comes up positive, then it may be an option for Islands and District to rent the truck until we have the money available in the budget during budget deliberations next spring. That may be, I think that's the best option for the taxpayers, but again, that's my recommendation.
Any other comments? We can move on.
Okay.
And skip this until Councillor Surratt maybe can join us again. And we'll come back to this. So we'll leave it as it is for now, and we'll move on to the next one. Funding request for fencing for the Middle East Pubnico COMFIT solar location. And what it is it was recommended by Nova Scotia Power that fencing be installed at this location because apparently there was multiple cases of vandalism at the Willett Road pump house. And they feel that perhaps that area maybe will end up with the same type of vandalism if we don't have a fence around there. So it is recommended that a fence erected, and it would be a cost of, it says 21,500 plus HST, and that must be something that Carl Boudreau has looked into because he had everything figured out there how much it would cost. So what we need, I guess, is a motion to give the go-ahead to erect that fence. So we can discuss it first. Councillor Report.
Yes, thank you, Warden. So the money to build this fence, where would we get that money from? Is there?
That
where
is something that probably maybe Ailey could answer. I'm not sure. I
So
don't
it
think
would-
it's in the budget right now for that, but
It isn't. No, we had anticipated as part of a cost, but we didn't anticipate the cost of fencing until the 2022-2023 budget. But given the vandalism that's happening, we can take the money from the capital reserve to do the work. And then, I mean, there's money available there to do this work. And then we would have to budget for an additional fence around the wells, I believe, that are up there. But we could put that in next year's budget. We were hoping to do the fencing next year. So, but given the vandalism, it just needs to get done sooner than later.
are the solar panels in there now?
They're not,
Yes.
no, but Kyle's been in touch with thermodynamics and I believe they're hoping to get in there within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, so it's happening
Yeah.
now. Okay, I'm sorry, Councillor Book, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Yeah, so if the vandalism keeps on going, I think maybe wouldn't it be a good idea to maybe have cameras or something like that? I don't know, because it's ridiculous. Everything you put up there, they're always trying to tear it down. You can't get
That's what-
ahead, so
That's what Kyle is scared of, that the costs will be quite heavy if there continues to be vandalism without a fence. So it'll be a lot more than the cost of the fence.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I would maybe go thinking of putting cameras
As well.
or something that you can watch. Yeah.
Mhm. Councillor Digdon, you had your hand up, I think.
Thank you. Just wondering, for a figure now this high, would we have to put that out to tender first? Because
No.
it just,
I don't think-
there's no quote or nothing. Like, there's some figures, but like there's no actual quote or nothing from any company or anything. So I was just wondering if that had to be put out to tender first.
So anything below $25,000 doesn't have to go to RFP on the Nova Scotia tender site. And we do have a quote from Eastern Fencing for this. I just didn't attach it as part with the memo, but we do have a
Okay.
quote for it.
Yeah, because I saw it was pretty much detailed like what it was. I'm sorry, Glenn, go ahead.
No, thank you. That's just as a follow-up. Now, I don't know if Kathy'd like to make that motion and I'd second it or whatever. I just don't want to.
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion, and on your memo, it says the budget pricing is from Eastern Fencing.
Okay.
You have it here on your memo.
Okay.
I seen that, but yeah. I'd second that motion.
Okay,
I do have the
Sorry.
quote, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not attaching the quote, but I do have
Nope.
it. So-
That's all right. Yeah, no, I'd second that
so
motion
it's
that
moved
Kathy.
and seconded. Any other questions? Councillor Boudreau, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, it's just an inquiry. Does the municipality of Argyle have cameras?
Not that I'm aware of anywheres. Maybe around the office and that, there probably are, but
No, just on sites. They don't.
Not that
we
I'm
do-
aware of.
We do
You
have security footage on certain municipal properties and certain municipal land. So yes, we do.
Okay,
But not in every property, obviously, but we do have
Yeah.
on some. Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious.
okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. Funding for fencing. Approval requests joint letter to Mr. Law regarding REMO program. And all this is, it's a letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and it's for authorization under a section of the Act, Nova Scotia Emergency Act, to provide the responsibility of the municipality's 3 units to, it will enable the executive committee to approve emergency management plans and policies. So really, that's all we need is just a letter so that we can have the authority to do that. Are you moving that, Councillor Digdon?
I am. Thank
Yeah,
you.
moved, seconded by Councillor Report. Any discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor, signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. The next one's private road bylaw, and this is the first reading. So we'll need a motion to accept it as a first reading. Are there any discussion or comments on this? If there's none, can we have someone to move? Moved by Councillor Bork, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Any more questions on the motion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand to accept this as the first reading. Contrary minded, carried. Decision here for tree lighting. I guess I overlooked this one. Oh, okay. That's the, yeah, I saw this. This is last year, as you know, we had given each municipal unit up to $500 for having their own municipal tree. And I guess we're looking to see if there's a couple of options. We had discussed that maybe this year we would continue it, but there's a couple of options. And option one is that new organizations could apply as a first time for a maximum of 500 with receipts included, if only 250, same as last year. If you only went to 250, you didn't have to supply any receipts. And organizations that receive funds 2020 could apply again, however, only for a maximum of 250, and it would have to be, receipts would have to be included. And this would be the last time requesting funding for this event. All purchases need to be for the decorating, lighting, or related items pertaining to the Christmas tree. And the funding opportunity was created because of the COVID-19 pandemic and therefore should be reassessed in 2022. That's option one. Option two that we have is new organizations could apply, same as option one, for $500 and the 250 without receipts if they so wish. Organizations that receive funding in 2020 would not be eligible to receive funding this year. All purchases need to be for the decorating, the same thing, and the funding opportunity was created, the same thing. So the difference here is to include the ones that got the money last year or not to include them. So before we go to the motion, are there any comments on this, and what's the wishes of council and Deputy Warden?
I just have a quick question because I can't remember. who makes the decision on who gets the money? Is it us as a council, or is it just that they put in an application to the office and they're, because this is what I'm thinking, if it's me as a councillor and I have 3 organizations who apply and 2 already had funding, like, can I make that decision as to who I dole that money out to?
See, I'm not sure how that worked last year.
I
All
can't
I know
remember.
is I had 2 in mind, and that's all the only 2 I had, so I
Me
didn't
too.
run into that problem.
Yeah.
And you did the same thing,
Right.
Councillor or Deputy Warden. So I'm not sure if it comes up, who would make that decision? Now, I don't know if it's in here. No, it's not. I don't believe it's in here.
Because I
But I
don't want to
know-
deny, somebody, like if I have 2 organizations
No.
last year who asked for money, I don't want to deny them if they're the only 2 who apply again. Do you know what I mean? So I guess I'm just wondering who makes that decision, because if we make that
Exactly.
decision.
My view on this would be option 2,
Mhm.
because that way, if you have new ones that are coming along, to me, if we go with option 1, my preference would be that if I get 3 and 2 of them are new and 1 of them had money last year, I would give it to, I would choose myself to say they would go with the ones that didn't receive last year.
Same with me.
So for
But-
that reason, I think I would go with option 2, where you've already had the money, so you don't need it this year. Go ahead, Councillor Bork.
So to that, I agree that new organizations that would want to apply it'd be nice for them to get it before the ones, but what about if you have the same organizations doing the Christmas trees and there's nobody else? Why can't they get the money if nobody else is applying for it? So I think that you should just put it out, and if a new organization from that didn't apply last year, you should get it, and if there's nobody else that wants it, the old ones that are applying, they should be able to get it.
Now, when you're looking at decorations, people who bought decorations last year are probably still have those decorations. They can use them again. And
Well,
I'm not
I
sure
know
what-
that decorations, sorry, I know that people that buy decorations for their trees they get burnt out. They have to go back and replace strings of lights. They don't last like they used to. I know
No.
at the church here, we have to replace strings of lights on the house every year,
Yeah.
and it's not cheap.
Yeah.
So
So-
I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
And
and
I mean,
that's
if
what
there are
we
new
want.
organizations want to put their name in this year, they should have firsthand. And if there's no new organizations, then the ones that have already asked are asking again, they should have second chance to it.
Yeah.
That's how I see
And
it.
it would be with receipts. They would have to supply receipts even for the
For
250.
250?
Even for, yeah, if you've had it last
Okay.
year in both
Yeah.
options, well, not both options, one option, they're not included, but in the option where they are included, they would have to submit receipts for anything that they buy for this year. They wouldn't just get 250. And
You mean not the new organizations?
not the
old-
new ones. New ones, it's
Okay.
500 receipts, 250 without. Go
Right,
ahead,
okay.
Councillor Donaldson. Oh, unmute, please.
If Kathy's done, yeah, are you done, Kathy?
I think she's done.
Okay. If I remember last year, the groups submitted their applications to the Department of Recreation. We didn't go, is that right, Nicole? Nope.
No, again, technology, Jeanette just texted me and said that actually it was council who made the decision. So each
Yeah.
counselor individually made the decision. I just
Okay.
couldn't remember.
Yeah. Like
couldn't
I had
remember either,
one.
but I only had 1 or 2.
I had
Go ahead.
one, like you say, there's gonna be new expenses this year if it's buying the tree or buying more lights,
Yeah.
so I'm inclined to go with opposite of what the warden was saying. I believe last year's applicants should be able to reapply, and if they're the only one, they can get up to what, 500 or 250?
No. If it's a new ones, it's up to 500. If you've received it last year, it's only 250.
I'm good with that. So is that option one?
That's
It's getting-
option one.
It's getting
Exactly.
really confusing. I got two screens going here, but yeah, so I'm gonna make that a motion. This is a small item. We won't need to go an hour on it, so
Yes.
I'm gonna make a motion for option one.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Digdon. Okay, any more discussion? Go ahead. Go ahead, Councillor Board.
Christmas is important. So, okay, if you go with option one, so
Yes.
are you saying just the new organizations that are
No.
gonna be able to apply?
No,
So you're gonna
Organizations
amend
that-
it?
okay, organizations that received funds in 2020 could apply again. However, only for a maximum of 250, and
Okay,
receipts would be required for at this time around for them. Where
Okay.
last year, the 250, there were no receipts, but you were able to get up to 500.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay? Any
Yeah.
other? Yeah, I'm sorry, Ellie, go ahead.
That's okay. I had just gotten a few messages as well as you guys were speaking. So just for clarification, each counselor gets $500 and each can decide who gets the money and when. So
Okay.
just so you guys all know.
Okay, good. And that, okay, I'm gonna go with Councillor Donaldson, then Councillor Surratt.
Okay, that even made it more confusing. So you get $500, but if you only have one old one from last year, you only can use 250 of it, unless you can go find somebody else that wants to put up a tree.
No.
Good. I vote yay.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Surratt.
You can hear me?
We can hear you now.
Yeah,
You were playing the banjo there for a while.
right on. I had to get out of the fire hall. Along with Kathy, I agree with Richard and Kathy, 100%. I've only in my district 2 small places that you reapply. And again, if somebody else wants to apply, fine. But with receipts, yes, I'm all for that. Thank you.
And that would be option one again.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
they can reapply with receipts.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready for the
Question?
Question call. All in favor signify by raising your hand that we accept option one where the repeats can apply again up to 250. So all in favor, raise your hand. All against. Motion carried. Now, Dee, now that you're back, we're going to go back to, I don't know if you could hear us or not. I had no idea.
I could, Danny. Yeah.
So we're going back now to the one because we skipped it because we couldn't hear you. So we're back to the islands request. So did you have anything? Because I know you started saying something about, I thought you said 10,000 and then you disappeared. So I have no idea what that was.
Okay, Gilles Bourque and the firemen were with me and they said if there was a possibility, if it was, with what Ailey was suggesting was done, if it did pass, that the municipality would look at maybe 10,000 a year for 4 years. That would make that 40,000. So it's not a lump sum of 40,000. It's 10,000 a year, or whichever way council, if they supported it, whichever way they'd like to go. And certainly, yes, to Ailey, if that's a requirement that the council wants, they're very happy to do that. In fact, they think it's a great idea.
So did you hear, were you able to hear, Ailey kind of gave us kind of an option there as well. I don't know if you heard that. Ailey, can you repeat? And that was the thing that we would have it in the next budget.
Yes.
And go ahead, Ailey.
Yeah, so what I had said, I'm sure that you know, Guy, that Eelbrook, so Jonathan LeBlanc, the chief from Eelbrook, so when they had smashed their truck, they had actually rented or had loaned that truck for 2 years. So I think that an option that's available too is for islands and district. So we can get the appraisal done. I'm going to actually get on the phone with them tomorrow and try to organize that. and then I can circle back with a date. But if we could maybe, even if Islands and District could rent the truck or lease the truck to own, and that way we could budget the amount, whatever council decides, once we have that appraisal, to bring to budget next year. But I do think that the deputy chief, who I've been in touch with Barrington, it will be open to the idea of leasing the truck until we have some money in the budget for you folks, or for Islands and District, for them to actually buy.
Makes complete sense. Makes
Okay.
complete sense.
Great. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
I will circle back with council once I speak to the appraisal company tomorrow.
Okay, so what we need now, we need a motion, Ailey, in order to approve the appraisal.
Yes.
We need a motion, and that can be 15 to 2,000, right?
$1,500 to $2,000
Yeah.
is the ballpark.
So, okay, Councillor Surratt,
I'll make that motion.
okay, do we have a seconded by Deputy Warden? Any discussion on that? If there's none, call for the question. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. So that's the only motion we need right now. Oh, Councillor Digdon, did you have something to add? No, okay, sorry. So that's the only motion we have right now until the appraisal is done, and then that'll come at a future meeting. Okay, you're okay with that? Good. That completes our items for decision. Correspondence and for information. There's a letter of concern from Accessibility Committee regarding canceled doctors' appointments for municipality of Argyle residents. And there's a letter attached from the chair of the Accessibility Committee. Now, I read that, but I'm not sure where we want to go with this. I know the letter's there, but I'm not 100% sure what's being asked of here. So I guess this came from Councillor Sonia. So if you want to, you have the floor.
Thank you. So in the past and even recent, I've got complaints, and I'm guessing most of you, if not all, have had the same complaints about. It's not just doctor cancellation, it's different bookings. And I can give you examples. And recently I have a neighbor who's had to go to Halifax quite a few times for different, to see his doctor actually. So he goes in and sees the nurse instead of the doctor for 10 minutes, told to go home and have an x-ray and come back the following week, does that and sees the nurse again for 10 minutes. The problem, I'll say one more example. There was a lady who was in her 90s, had to go to Halifax 4 times a year for injections. She got there and they got a phone call an hour before the appointment that the doctor was in France and that the operation or the appointment was canceled. Well, it begs the question, why did they call so late? Why not the day before? The doctor's not leaving for France, he is in France. So I've had many complaints like that in the past. And, you know, what I read out of this is that the doctors and their supporting staff assume that everybody lives in Halifax. So we have people that travel out of Halifax, and some of them got special needs, therefore need a driver. So you're disrupting the lives of 2 people to drive. Basically, you're taking a whole day to go to Halifax and back. And then they want you to go home for a 5-minute x-ray, come back the following week with no regards of traveling distance. And I don't believe they do know that some of these patients come from Yarmouth. You go there, you fill a brochure, your name and address is on that place, even your email, but it doesn't say you live in Yarmouth. It just gives you an address where they can put a stamp or an email and send it to you. Right now, there are movements to amend outpatients to alleviate patient waiting time. They're trying to pass in PI and in Nova Scotia the ability for pharmaceutical or pharmacies to actually prescribe drugs so that patients don't have to go wait all day long to see a doctor. The problem that I'm addressing is similar. It's in Halifax. It's a logistic problem, what it is. We don't all live in Halifax. We live here in Yarmouth, and I call it a day away, because by the time you're there and back, you wasted a whole day. So it's a provincial problem. It's not ours. So it doesn't cost us anything. And what I'm asking for here is a letter to be put together. And to be correct, this is not just an Argyll problem or nor a Yarmouth problem. It's a tri-county problem. It's probably a Cape Breton problem, a PEI problem, but I'm addressing Argyll and the tri-counties here. So my suggestion would be to write a letter to our surrounding councils and maybe surrounding counties like Digby and Shelburne and their municipalities, kind of form an alliance of municipalities to send this letter to Colton and the Minister of Health or Health Department. And all they have to do is the same as us. It doesn't cost a dime. It's just pencil and ink. And today with emails, you don't even use that. So when you sign your, I mean, this is just my idea. There could be a better one than this, but you could color code. You could say, you know, this guy's from Yarmouth, 200 miles away. Let's color this purple. Anybody that's when support and staff sees the color purple, you know you're 200 miles away. You're treated as if you're 200 miles away, not living next door. And there's a lot of people that I talk to whose disability and age make it very difficult to go once, let alone 2 or 3 times. So basically what I'm asking is council to approve a motion to write a letter to send to our surrounding municipalities, and then possibly to Colton and the Minister of Health.
I'm not sure I understand what the letter will say. What do you mean? We're not going to have doctors. We're never going to stop people from going to Halifax.
No. That's an impossibility. Halifax is in Halifax. What I am saying, the Halifax should recognize the travel distance, and that we should be able to accommodate our patients when they travel to Halifax, that they don't have to go 2 or 3 times in the same month, or that if there's a cancellation, they know ahead of time, so that they're not already on their way or already there and show up.
So where would the letter go to? Who would we
to
send the letter
Minister
to?
of Health or the Health Department. I don't know if it's fixable. I'm guessing it should be. Okay.
I'm not sure. Okay, I saw Deputy Warden with her hand, and then Councillor Dickton. Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Thank you. I hear what you're saying, Councillor Sonia. There are, it happens definitely, but I'm trying to kind of figure out in my head the best route to take. Has the accessibility committee, anybody on the accessibility committee, had a conversation with Minister LeBlanc? I know sometimes I feel like that's a route to take, like have a conversation with him and kind of have him moving forwards. I don't know if we're at a point where we would send a letter quite yet, but I think a conversation, even as you as a member on that committee, having a conversation with Colton might be a good first step. That's just something I'm kind of thinking.
I'm totally open to suggestions, Nicole. And as far as the accessibility committee, we never got the chance. We're only going to meet twice a year now, so I almost took this off the agenda. But the fact that this and the next meeting might be sometimes next spring, I decided not to. I had talked to Ailey about it, and so brought it about. So I am not set in stone here. Any suggestion is great. I just think that if we can make life a little easier for our people down here, we should.
And I think too, sorry, if that's okay, Warden.
Yeah.
One of the things that I heard, and I know you were at the NSFM conference as well, was like when they talked about planning and evidence-based, it would be good to have real statistics rather than saying I've had some complaints. If even if the accessibility or whoever, if we could kind of, you know, have real numbers, because have I had complaints informally? But I can't really say that I've had a ton. So do you know what I'm saying? Like it would be good to have some evidence to back that up, but starting some initial conversations with Colton would probably be what I think I would do first.
I think so
That's
too.
just.
Go ahead, Councillor Dick. Are you done? Okay, Councillor Digdon.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Yes, and I can relate to what Mr. Sonia is saying. As being a paramedic for 33 years, I've seen it firsthand on many accounts where it seems like the people that's doing the appointments and that have no idea how long these people are coming or how long it's going to take them to get home afterwards to get to the city for an appointment. And that, but I would definitely agree with our deputy warden that maybe to bring it up first with Mr. LeBlanc, our MLA, and kind of get a feel from him as to what would be the next move. And I can assure Mr. Sonia it's not only a problem down here in this end of Nova Scotia, but the same thing happens from the people that's going from the Cape Breton end, and the same thing that happens that are people that are traveling to Halifax from Amherst and down that way as well. So I you know, just a suggestion by all means, but I think maybe to talk with our MLA first, and that could be something Mr. Sonia could do on his own, and then go from there. Thank you.
I travel to Halifax. I have 2 doctors in Halifax and I have 1 in Kentville. And I must have good doctors because the one in Kentville books everything there for my appointment. And he makes sure that it's late enough in the day that I can drive in the morning. And like I said, I think maybe it depends on the doctors too. Like, you know, some of them probably are more conscious of where you're coming from and what it entails, because one in Halifax, if I have to have tests or whatever, then he'll call me. He doesn't make me drive back, he'll call me. So anyway, that's just 1 individual or 2 individuals, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they're all like that, and probably more so the opposite of that. In you know, saying what Councillor Sonia was saying, probably the majority are on that side rather than the side of what I'm seeing with mine, for sure. So if you're okay with that, I think maybe Councillor Sonia, that's what we will, the route that should be taken. Let's get some information and see what comes out of that first.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, get back to my agenda. Okay, next is financial requests, and I don't see any. Any agenda topics for next meeting or notice of motion by councillor? Councillor Bork.
Thank you, Warden. I'd just like to talk about the, in Pubnico Head, on the corner of 103, there's a carpool there. And there seems to be a issue there of what's going on. There's pictures on Facebook with needles on the ground. I've already called in the past to get cars that were burnt, vehicles that were burnt, pulled away from there. So I'm hearing from people, getting messages from people, maybe that place there should be cleared out where it can be more, you can see better. So I'm just, it's for security reasons. I mean, people are going there, going by. I wouldn't leave my vehicle there because I don't know what's going on there. And it's an eyesore, and I think it should be cleared out. So I was just wondering if we could talk about that, or maybe put it on the agenda for next time, and maybe have a letter written to
So do you want
to
that?
Department of Highways or
You
something
want
like
to add
that.
it to the next agenda as a,
Yeah,
as a,
please.
as
Yeah,
an agenda item? Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything they want to add or? Oh, Councillor Boudreau.
Thank you, Warden. I've got, I'm not sure if we can put this in motion tonight or not. I'm not sure if it's gonna be an agenda topic for next meeting, but Le Chemin de l'Ace has a seniors complex. And in the wintertime, it's not being plowed. Can we get a letter to TIR to get that road plowed for those seniors that do have vehicles and do have appointments at the hospitals or doctor?
So what you're saying is TIR doesn't plow the Chemin de l'Ace?
No, it plows it about 3 days after the winter storm.
Oh,
So could we get that road plowed when they plow the main artery?
because of the seniors complex.
Yes, exactly. And that road is heavily traveled. So it gets really rough because it's not being plowed, you know, the first day. It's being plowed maybe the second or third day, right? So all the snow is packed and ice.
So, okay, so do you want to make a motion to send a letter regarding
Yes.
that? Or do you want to add this to the agenda next time? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I don't know if you can do this. We can put this in motion tonight, or if it has to be on the agenda for next meeting.
Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, this is an issue that isn't controversial. I'm sure it would pass 100%, but they're springing something on late in a meeting that nobody's prepared to talk about.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're not really allowed to do that. So I would suggest,
That
based
we-
on principle, put it on the next agenda.
Which
I mean,
is
this
where
one's
we're
not
at.
this one's not a problem in my mind, but you can do stuff like this that would be a problem.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Because it is, the agenda, that's where we're at. Agenda topics for next or notions of notice of motions. So maybe it's best to make sure that it's on the agenda next time and.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Of you know, if it could be
And
passed
that's
in
right.
motion tonight.
And that could have been like when I asked if there was any additions to the agenda, it could have been added at that time and then we
Okay,
could
yeah.
discuss it, but.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Question period. Anybody have anything? I don't see, you didn't get anything, Ailey, and,
No, and I got a message that there's nothing, no questions from Facebook.
okay, good. So I thought we had an in-camera. Did we take the in-camera off? My agenda doesn't show it, but I thought we had an in-camera.
Yep, the
Right.
in-camera is on the agenda. Yep.
Okay. Oh, I know why. I know exactly why.
It's in the email.
Now it's the in-camera. So motion to go in camera.
Motion to go into camera.
Seconded by Councillor Digdon. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Okay, in camera.